guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 1, Chapter 10.3 Notes. Today we're going to be talking about quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula. So the first two problems we got is a little review. So solve the following quadratic equations by factoring or by using inverse, whichever is appropriate. Now, the other day we talked about any time that we see fractions right here that we always use inverses, okay? And the inverses we're going to be using is ZMAP. So we're going to draw the line down the equal sign. And the first thing we're going to do is add 17. Okay, add 17 to both sides. We're left with negative 1/2 x squared equals 20. Now, to get rid of a fraction, you need to multiply by the inverse. Okay, multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to times both sides by negative 2/1. Those guys cancel. We're left with x squared equals negative 40. And now the opposite of a square is to take the square root. And hopefully you don't have to plug that into your calculator because you're going to know the answer right away. But for those of you who don't, let's go through it. When you take a square of a negative number, no matter what number it is, no real solution. Okay? So x equals no real solution. Okay? And for all of you lazy bums out there, you can write NRS. Okay? Alright, so for number 2, you always want to get one side equal to 0. Okay? So we're going to subtract 8 to both sides because we want to see if we can factor. And we get 3x squared minus 12 equals 0. Okay, so I see that there's a GCF between those numbers. I can take out a 3. And when we do that, we get x squared minus 4 equal to 0. Okay, that binomial is the difference of two squares. So we can go x plus 2, x minus 2 equal to 0. Everything that has a variable in it, we set those equal to 0. And those you should be able to solve, and then we get our answers x equals plus or minus 2. Okay? Now, the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula can be used to solve any quadratic. Seriously, any quadratic you want to. Now it's longer. Just look at that equation. But before you use it, though, you got to make sure it's written as ax squared plus bx plus c, because you need to know what a and b and c are. And we've done a really good job of writing that down for each problem. Okay? Now, a couple things to note. That is not negative b. Okay? That is opposite. The opposite of b. Because think about it. If we have 3x squared minus 4x plus 12 equal to 0, that's my b. So if you were to write it the opposite of b, you'd be writing negative 4. And you get kind of confused with all those signs, which is 4. But we just say the opposite of b. Well, the opposite of negative 4 is, whoops, not b, it's positive 4. Okay, so it's kind of saying the same thing. So we've got a little song to help you do this, right? Now, the song is pretty much to Pop Goes the Weasel. Okay, so it goes x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. You got it? How about this? I'll do it one more time for you guys. Okay? So, here we go. X equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. There you go. Now, we're going to sing that all the time in class to help you memorize it, because songs help you memorize things, okay? If you can't memorize things through songs, well, you're just going to have to look at it and kind of figure it out, because you will be tested just on knowing the quadratic formula, okay? Now, let's talk about how to solve it. This is a pretty complicated fraction. We've never seen one like this before. So we're going to do two things first, okay? When you see this, you always want to do what's inside the, underneath the square root and the bottom, okay? So we get the opposite of 5 plus or minus. Now, you can do this in your calculator, the top part, but you have to be very careful how you type it in, okay? If it's in parentheses, I would always keep it in parentheses. So it's 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times 1. And that's going to give us an answer, okay? So that is the square roots of 13, all divided by 2 times 3 is 6, okay? And now we're going to deal with that plus or minus. We're going to split it into two problems. One problem is going to be the addition, and the other problem is going to be the subtraction, okay? And once again, we're going to do this in the calculator. Now watch how I do this. I'm going to do negative 5 plus the square root of 13. So all I did was the top, and I'm going to get a really ugly decimal. That's okay. All I did was the top. But now I need to take that answer and divide it by 6. And then that's where we get negative 2.3. And remember, we always round to the second decimal, and that 2 tells me that I can stay low. Okay? So we get negative 0.23. Okay? But now we have to do the subtraction, and we're going to do the same thing. Negative 5 minus the square root of 13. I get my answer, and now I have to divide it by 6. And when you round that, you get negative 1.43. Okay? All right. Let's go through some. So solve by factoring or by using the quadratic formula. Round the final answer to the nearest hundredth. Okay? Remember that that means 2 decimals. Okay? So first thing is we want everything on the same side. So those cancel because I want one side to equal 0. And we get x squared plus 9x plus 14. Now, before you get all gung-ho and do the quadratic formula, let's take a look at some things. All right? A equals 1, B equals 9, C equals 14. So we always want to check to see if we can factor it first. Okay? So we get 1 and 14, 2 and 7. What numbers add up to 9 but multiply to get to 14? Do you see a combination? Because I sure do. 2 and 7. 2 plus 7 is 9, and 2 times 7 is 14. Okay? So when you can factor, I would definitely factor, because that is going to save you some time. Okay, we take out the x, take out a positive 7, you get x plus 2, positive 7, x plus 2. And if you look at our check right here, it's good. So we get x plus 7, x plus 2 equal to 0. Set each one of those equal to 0. And then you get your final answer of x equals negative 7 and negative 2. Now, could you have gone and done the quadratic formula for everything? Yes, you could have. But it would have taken a lot more work. When you factor things, it goes by a lot faster. Okay? All right, let's look at number 4. Now, number 4, my leading coefficient's negative. I don't want that. Okay? So we're going to add the 3x squared to the other side, and we're going to subtract the x, because remember, we need one side equal to 0, and then we get 3x squared minus x minus 5. So off to the side now, you need to think. A is 3, B is negative 1, C is negative 5. Do you know any numbers that add up to negative 1 and multiply to negative 15? I sure don't. Okay, so that's when we have to do the quadratic formula. All right, so what I'm going to first do is I'm going to sing it, and we're just going to put the parentheses where things go. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Okay? So now we're going to start plugging everything in. So, you kind of see why we say the opposite of b, because those two negatives, it's just going to be 1. Okay, because it's the opposite of b. B squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Alright, so let's simplify this a little bit. I can do the bottom right away because 2 times 3 is 6. That's easy. Now, let's focus on this. And you need to put this into your calculator exactly as you see it, because if you just are lazy and go negative 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 5, you get 59. Okay? Yeah, that sounds right. However, that negative 1 is inside the parentheses. See? Now, it's, oh, Mr. Grice, it's only a 2-number difference. It actually matters. Okay? So, always put what's inside the parentheses, what's inside. All right? So now we're going to split this off into 2 problems where x equals plus 61 over 6 and minus 61 all divided by 6. Okay? So 1 plus the square root of 61 equals divided by 6, and we get 1.47. Okay, because we have to round because the 8 is telling us to go up. Okay, so now the other one is 1 minus the square root of 61 divided by 6. And now we get negative 1.14. Okay. Okay, those are your answers. Go ahead and circle them. And you are done with that problem. All right, number 5. Remember that we want our x's to be positive for leading coefficient. So if we subtract that, we'd get a negative. We don't want that, okay? So we're actually going to subtract the x squared and the 3x to the other side. So 0 equals 2x squared minus 3x minus 4. And Mr. Grice, it's not 2x squared, it's 1. Okay, because 2 minus 1 is 1. I apologize. So, taking a look at this, remember that this is our A, this is our B, and that's the C. So, do we know any numbers that multiply, add up to get to -3 and multiply to get to -4? Like, oh, Mr. Grice, I can't do that in my head. Well, then do the factors of 4, you lazy butts. Because there's a group that does that. And that's 1 and 4. But the 4 is negative. Okay? So 0 equals x squared plus 1x minus 4x minus 4. Split the middle term. Take out the GCF of both terms. You get x plus 1, -4, and you get x plus 1. So our little check right there works. 0 equals x minus 4, x plus 1. Set each one of those equal to 0. And we get that x equals -1 and +4. Okay? I'm sorry you didn't get to hear me sing. That's okay. Let's do, we only got time for 2 more. So, we're going to go with number 6. So, that's negative. I want it to be positive. So I'm going to add the x squared to the other side. And we get x squared plus x minus 1 equals 0. So A, B, C. Do you know any numbers that multiply to get to -1 and add to get to 1? You guys might say on the bottom, well, hey, 1 and -1, that works, but 1 and -1 don't work here. All right, so we have to do the quadratic formula. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. All right, I want you guys to fill it in. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can do it. Okay, that's what you should have gotten. Now, the key thing here is the opposite of b, because b is a +1. The opposite of that is a -1. All right, let's focus what's inside right there. We have 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times -1, which gives us 5. Okay, so x equals -1 plus or minus the square root of 5 all over 2. We're going to split that into 2 problems. -1 plus the square root of 5 divided by 2, and x equals -1 minus the square root of 5 divided by 2. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can get those 2 answers. Okay, so there are the 2 answers. Just remember, we're rounding to the second decimal, so you need to look at the third decimal with where to go. The work for all of those problems are on my calculator right there, so you can see exactly what I did. Okay? Now, the last problem we're going to do today is number 8. So, number 8, the first thing you always want to do is make sure the leading coefficient is positive. So we have to move that over to the other side. And we get 5x squared plus x plus 10 equals 0. So every time we want to check is 50. So we need numbers that add up to get us 1 and multiply to get to 50. And if you don't know all the factors of 50, you can write them down right here to see 3 no, 4 no, 5, and 10. So are any of those going to work? Nope. So now we're going to do the quadratic formula. So remember, x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Let's actually make that look like a 10. Okay? And remember, wherever the a is, that's where I'm getting these numbers, the b and the c. Okay? Now, the first thing we always do is what's underneath the square root. So 1 squared minus 4 times 5 times 10. And what's it equal? Negative 199. All right, so x equals negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 199 all over 10. Whoa. Can we take the square root of a negative number? Let's find out what happens. Can't happen. Okay, so when that happens, your answer is x equals no real solution. Okay? Now, for all of you guys, if you want to try these other 3 problems, I'm going to put the answer up in a second. So if you want to try them, pause it, and good luck. Okay, and there are all the answers. Now, if you have any questions, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. Otherwise, that's it for Algebra 1, Chapter 10.3 Notes. Thanks for watching.